All right, let's talk about empathy in life. So, at the risk of stating the obvious, you are probably a really wonderful friend, companion, mentor, coach, teacher, any kind of person that is supporting other people in their personal growth space. There's so much about understanding our feelings, being able to communicate our feelings, being able to manage our feelings that plays a role in our own personal well-being. And so having someone like you in our corner is ultimately going to be extremely beneficial to us. But with that, there are times where people are really going to appreciate your ability to put words to their feelings, because you can feel those feelings and then you can express those words of description that maybe someone else can't. There are definitely going to be times where people are like, yes, thank you for seeing me. Thank you for like putting words to that. I couldn't quite do it. On the flip side, there are also going to be times where you can help them come up with their own words, right? So maybe you're not voicing their feelings for them, but rather you are using your ability to kind of ask powerful questions and dig a little bit deeper to get them to name their feelings, right? Which is very important. It's very important that we're able to name our own feelings. And by being able to name their feelings and better understand them, you're also helping them to improve their ability to express their emotions in different environments. We all know that we unfortunately live in a world where you do have to present your emotions in different ways in different environments. But that all starts with being able to understand that wheel of emotion that a lot of people are not familiar with, and you are inherently familiar with. So those are kind of two ways that you can be really supportive to people in your life, is either voicing the feelings that they're not being able to voice, or helping them get to that space where they can name the things they're experiencing in a way that's empowering for them. Kind of on the flip side of this, it's important to note that sometimes people don't want you to name their feelings for them, that it can feel really intimate. It can feel like they're being kind of exposed, right? So I don't think this is probably a huge problem for you, because you can read the room, right? Like if you start to voice feelings of another person and they start to shut down, you're going to notice that, and you're probably going to about face pretty quickly. But just know, like in relationships, and we'll talk about this more in the tips and tricks section, but it's important to know the people that you're in community with and whether there's someone that's open to that or not. There's also going to be a lot of times where silence is the best choice for you. And that is not me saying like, don't talk, be silent. What I'm saying is you have this innate ability to let others know that you understand them without words. So body language, eye contact, just the feelings that you give off because of your empathy. Sometimes you don't need to speak to that. Sometimes you can just be in that. And that is an even bigger support to the person you're in relationship with than naming the things that you know are occurring. So one way that you can continue to refine your nonverbal communication is through practicing active listening, which we've talked about with some other strengths, but it's probably not a problem for you to active listen. That's not why you need to practice it. Why it's helpful is because in active listening, which we know is listening all the way through before cultivating your response, instead of planning your response while someone is talking and missing half of what they say. For you, by practicing active listening, and then during that process, you are able to practice your nonverbal responses. So you can be present, you can be listening, and you can be kind of emanating that nonverbal response while doing the active listening. And then obviously afterwards you can respond. But it is important for you to practice this. And this could happen in like groups, right? Like maybe you're in a meeting and someone is presenting and you can tell they're nervous, right? You can use that as an opportunity to practice really grounding yourself, really trying to connect with that person, breathe deeply, share your confidence, your groundedness with them, because you have this skill to not only receive what other people are feeling, but also to kind of emanate out a feeling as well. So practice that. It's fun. It's like magic. See how that shows up in one-on-one conversations, see how that shows up in group settings, and just notice if people are noticing you, if people are kind of taking on your energy, if they're seeming to be more settled as they go because they've connected with you in some way. It could be a really, really fun experiment, I think. Another reason that staying silent sometimes is going to be a good option for you is that sometimes people need to or want to express their emotions themselves. They don't want someone telling them what they're feeling, or they don't want to express them at all. That's okay too. In those situations, by staying quiet and kind of holding space instead of sharing, what you're feeling, people are feeling, you let others express themselves in the way that they want to, allowing them to feel seen and supported rather than pathologized. And it's not that you're pathologizing people when you are sharing what you're feeling, they're feeling, but it can come off that way sometimes. So just another reason to practice kind of that stillness, that holding space experience, because if people are not necessarily on the same level as you, that might feel better to them. So again, another thing to practice in different environments, along with your nonverbal, support and nonverbal communication. This is also a way to hold space for people and let them feel seen and appreciated for who they are and what they are saying and bringing to the table. Now, there are a couple of blind spots in life that I want you to just give some attention to, give some mind to. So in life and in work, it's important to practice taking action when someone is behaving in an unhealthy or unhappy way. Sometimes in these situations, your empathy can take over and lead you to acting more out of sympathy, which can cause you to take on and allow. It also is likely to cause you a lot of distress and eventually lead to burnout, and can cause others to see you as this like bleeding heart metaphor, or like you're lacking in boundaries. So just know that sometimes a blind spot of empathy is giving reason to why someone is acting the way they are, instead of recognizing that regardless of why they're acting the way they are, that behavior is inappropriate. And so just something to keep an eye out for, and maybe to ask for support, right? Maybe to ask others in your life to call that behavior out when it's occurring, to allow you to reflect on it and really decide, am I, leaning more into sympathy here than I am empathy? And is this one of those scenarios where I do need to set a boundary and take a step back? And we'll talk about boundaries in the next video as well. And lastly, in terms of blind spots for empathy, especially in life, is that because you're so sensitive and attuned to other people's feelings and emotions and experiences, some people might actually take that as you being prying or over involved in their lives. So this is another area to just kind of make sure you read the room, make sure you ask questions, and ensure that you're not overstepping when others kind of prefer to keep feelings to themselves. Maybe they're a little bit more private of a person. So just keep an eye out for that as well when it comes to blind spots in life. So that's what we have to say for empathy in life. Obviously, could talk for a long time about all of these strengths, empathy included. But for now, we're going to jump into the tips and tricks section. So I will see you in that video.